Hello, I'm Bob Schieffer, and welcome to the CBS Evening News Online edition. Just ahead, under extremely heavy security, President Bush arrived in Pakistan today for talks with President Musharraf on the war on terror. Also, we'll show you the two different worlds of modern-day India, plus a 104-year-old CEO who invented the cowboy shirt and is still hard at work. It's all starting now on the CBS Evening News Online edition. As the Associated Press is writing the story tonight, President Bush may be closer now to Osama bin Laden than he has ever been. Traveling with extraordinarily heavy security, even for a president, he flew into Pakistan tonight under cover of darkness. Bin Laden, of course, is thought to be hiding in the hills between Pakistan and Afghanistan. We begin our coverage tonight with Jim Axelrod, who is traveling with the president.
Air Force One flew into Pakistan, lights out, shades drawn to make it a tougher target to hit. A helicopter and a motorcade both set out from the airport, and it's still unclear which one was transporting the president. What is clear, for those who are in charge of his security, it's going to be an anxious next day here. President Bush arrived in Islamabad under the cover of darkness Friday night. Reporters were initially told it would be a daylight landing Saturday morning. Islamabad is in lockdown. Checkpoints on every road leading into the capital, but most roads are deserted. The president's arrival had protesters chanting 1,000 miles away in Karachi. "Go back, Bush," they yelled, while they burned an effigy. Police broke up the demonstration with tear gas. The day after, a suicide bomber killed an American diplomat in front of the U.S. consulate in Karachi. The president is in Pakistan to discuss ways to better defend against that kind of terror. After safely getting Mr. Bush in and out of Afghanistan for a few hours to visit U.S. troops earlier this week, the Secret Service is now dealing with a presidential overnight in perhaps an even more dangerous place.
On my trip to Islamabad, I will meet with President Musharraf to discuss Pakistan's vital cooperation in the war on terror and our efforts to foster economic and political development so we can reduce the appeal of radical Islam.
The president is now safely at the heavily fortified U.S. Embassy. How uncommon a trip is this? As you mentioned earlier, Bob, there's now a very good chance that President Bush is sleeping in the same country as Osama bin Laden.
Jim, let me ask you this question. Obviously, you can't go to India and not visit its rival Pakistan. But what is it that the president hopes to accomplish while he's there?
Well, unlike the varied agenda in India, where they covered a number of things, the president and President Musharraf are going to cover one thing primarily, and that is tightening the targeting of terrorists in Pakistan. But I'll tell you, there's also some light parts of the agenda, a cricket match and a state dinner. There will not be a second night in Pakistan, however. After the state dinner, the president gets on Air Force One and flies directly home.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jim. Just as President Bush concluded his trip to India today, so we are completing our in-depth look at one of the world's most important and colorful cultures. Tonight, new and old meet and mingle as Chief Foreign Correspondent Lara Logan reports in her series, India, the Land of Contrast.
The ritual sounds of ancient India don't seem out of place on the streets of the country's capital, Delhi. This is the unruly heart of the nation, founded on the ruins of 7 ancient cities. Here in Delhi, the old has a long history of giving way to the new. Its population is growing as fast as its modern economy. Business here and all across India has never been better.
The urban, educated class, they are, having the time of their lives. They've never had it so good. They have a lot of money to spend.
Indians call it the two-wheel revolution. Hundreds of millions have traded in walking shoes for motorbikes. But for all that progress, you still find cattle mingling with the traffic and painted elephants out for a stroll. Big city living here is a chaotic blend of the old and the new, a society still so rooted in the past, even as it's hurtling into the new world. And here in the midst of India's billion people, you get a sense of the scale of the challenge facing this country, not to leave so much of the population behind, trapped by poverty in the India of old. 45-year-old rickshaw driver Ram Nahori is in danger of being left behind. He and other drivers in Calcutta, who carry the city's more fortunate around, are fighting a move to ban them from the streets. Modern India, they're being told, is not a place where one man pulls another man. The problem, Ram says, is that he has no other means to support his family of 5. Banning his rickshaw would leave them destitute. India is clearly struggling to strike a balance between the world of those who have nothing and those who suddenly have everything.
It just happened so fast. It's just the last 5-6 years that it's really taken off.
Has it happened too fast?
Yeah, it has. A lot of people are still struggling to come to terms with what this means.
They have been stitched up.
Designer Anita Ahuja knows what it means to her, finding ways to reach India's poorest.
It dries very easily.
Her answer, recycling plastic bags. Anita turns these scraps of plastic into this, glitzy designer handbags, shoes, belts, and even photo albums. But the real purpose is making it possible for destitute women like Basanti to earn money for the first time in her life. She makes on average $1 a day, selling the used plastic bags that Anita turns into art. Even that's enough to put decent food in her home. Do you think the two worlds of India can move together?
They have to. There is no choice. In 10 years, if we are not able to integrate these two Indias, I don't think so. We can be able to play an important role in the world affairs.
This is a proud moment in India's history. It stands on the verge of emerging as a global economic power. But how it lifts up all its people may be the true measure of its greatness. Lara Logan, CBS News, Delhi, India.
Finally, at a time when the first of the baby boomers are thinking about retiring, a man who is old enough to be their grandfather wouldn't dream of it. He's into his second 100 years now, and visitors to our website told us they'd like to meet him. So Steve Hartman headed west for tonight's Assignment America.
I thought it was great that he could just open the door.
Good morning.
But Jack Wiles still has the same attitude and almost the same energy he had when he started working back during the Taft administration. He's 104. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
How'd you sleep?
With my eyes closed.
Did you? Jack is CEO of a Western clothing company based in Denver called Rockmount. His mornings are spent mostly walking back from the coffee machine. He also does some of the accounting.
Where are you from?
And most of the socializing.
Tucson.
Everyone loves seeing him still on the job, with the possible exception of his 77-year-old son.
How in the hell can I retire when my father's still working?
Jack started Rockmount in 1946, and over the years, he defined how the West was worn. In fact, he created the Western shirt as we know it.
Obviously, 60 years later, the style Jack started now looks a little dated, kitschy, not really like anything you or I would wear. In other words, it's become incredibly hip.
Eric Clapton wore nothing but Jack shirts on his recent tour with Cream. Rockmount is popping up in GQ, and biggest of all,
I wish I knew how to quit you.
His shirts were featured prominently in the movie Brokeback Mountain. One shirt worn in the movie just sold on eBay for $101,000.
What?
$101,000.
What?
The Wiles weren't aware.
For one shirt?
Jack especially doesn't care much about any kind of hype.
Ain't you getting tired of taking my picture?
Assuming you're not going to live forever, which may not be a safe assumption, but assuming you don't, how do you want to be remembered?
Well, I don't give a damn.
Okay.
Later this month, Jack turns 105, barring any unforeseen ambulance rides.
As long as they keep going.
Nice shirts. but I think I'd rather have his genes. So what's up for next week? As always, that depends on how you vote. Here's option 1. The violin goes hip-hop. We could meet a guy who calls himself the Dread Violinist. I promise you've never heard classical music quite like this. Option 2. I go looking for love in all the flight places. Talk about your friendly skies. How about an in-flight dating service? Or finally, we could meet 76-year-old Herman Rosenblatt, a Holocaust survivor who never got his bar mitzvah. Until now. So help me out here. You need to tell me which of those 3 stories you want to see next Friday night. To vote, go to cbsnews.com, find the Assignment America icon, click on it, and cast your vote. Go ahead, do it now before you forget. We obviously have a very assorted selection this week, so I can't wait to see what you decide. Bob?
More stories are just a click away, but don't forget to join me on television for the on-air edition of the CBS Evening News. On Monday's broadcast, we'll begin a special series on a place called the Tri-Border in South America. It's the most lawless place in the world. For CBSNews.com, I'm Bob Schieffer.